Glacier National Park is one of the hardest national parks to book a trip for, but I'm going to break down everything that you need to know, when to start reserving things you need to research, and everything that you need to plan ahead for in order to have the most successful trip in Glacier National Park. So I want to start with the top 3 things that you need to do research on before you start booking your trip. So number 1, what is the estimated time frame that the Going to the Sun Road is going to be open? Number 2, are there any closures in the park? And number 3, what areas of the park are requiring vehicle reservations? So once you have all of that research finished, we can start with step 1, deciding when you want to go. So if you go earlier in the season, you're going to have more of the white caps on the mountains, you're going to have more of the wildflowers, and you're going to have more than likely really, really beautiful weather. This year in 2025, it was a lot more rainy, so I know people were dealing with fog and rain. But the weather in Glacier is so unpredictable and it's always changing, so do your own research, look at trends from past years, and maybe look at trends of what people are predicting for the upcoming year that you're booking for. Both years that we went to Glacier, we actually decided to go after summer break was done, and we went the week of Labor Day. And I can't personally say that it was less crowded or that parking was any easier, but we just personally really like this time of year. And especially in our lives, you're coming up on the holidays, you're ending summer, life needs a little bit of a slowdown. So it's just a great time of year to take a vacation, I think personally. One issue that you might run into at this time of year is the smoke from wildfires. So we were affected by the Canadian wildfires this past year. And on our last 2 days in the park, when we were at Apgar and when we did Avalanche Lake hike, we were unable to see the mountains. So that is one issue that you might run into at this time of year after Labor Day. So the next thing that you want to do after you decide when you want to go is step 2, deciding how many days you want to spend on each side of the park. So most people will stay on the west side just because there's more places to stay. But I personally prefer the east side just because it's much more peaceful and less populated. I live in Florida, so I love less populated. Our first trip in 2024, we actually only stayed on the west side. And in the area, you have Whitefish, you have Columbia Falls, you have Kalispell for dinners and just things to do after a day in the park. But in 2025, we spent the first half of our trip on the east side. And by the time we left the park and were ready for like a hearty dinner after a long day of hiking, most places were already closed. So your only option for food really is the lodges. So I'm going to break this down just super easy to help you decide what side of the park that you should stay on. So some perks of staying on the west side is you have more places to eat, you have more things to do. You're closer to the west entrance, including Apgar and Lake McDonald and the North Fork. Some cons of staying on the west side, you have more people, more traffic, and you need a vehicle reservation for both areas over there. Some perks of staying on the east side, you have less people, less traffic. You do not need a vehicle reservation for any area over there in 2025. So if you're booking in a year other than 2025, make sure you're checking that. You're closer to St. Mary, Many Glacier, and Two Medicine, which I personally think have the best trails in the park. So if you're more of a hiker, you might want to stay on the east side. Some cons of the east side, you have less places to eat and you have limited lodging. So let's talk about cell phone service, because I hear a lot of people say, you'll have phone service, you won't have phone service. So cell phone service is horrible inside of the park, no matter where you go. For me, personally, this is a pro because I'm going there to disconnect, so I personally don't mind not having service. But on the west side, you will have service once you leave the park. Most likely, wherever you're staying, you'll have service. But on the east side, you might get some spotty service when you're not in the park. But most of the time, I didn't have service at all. And if I did, it wasn't a very strong signal. Wi-Fi will depend on where you're staying. So on the east side, we stayed at Glacier Park Lodge, and the connection was not stable at all. But my parents actually joined us last minute and found an Airbnb on the east side, and their Wi-Fi was fine. So if I was booking my very first trip to Glacier, and I wanted to make sure that I was seeing every single part of the park while I was there, this would be my itinerary. 7 days, including 2 travel days. Day 1, you're traveling in and you're driving to the east side and checking into your lodging there. Day 2, you're going to St. Mary, exploring, hiking, And then you're going to drive the east side of the Going to the Sun Road up to Logan Pass and do some exploring there, do a short hike. Day 3, you're going to go to Many Glacier, explore, hike, whatever you want to do. Day 4, to Medicine. You can do hiking, you can do canoeing, kayaking, and then you're going to move to the west side via Going to the Sun Road. So you're going to be able to sightsee the entire Going to the Sun Road coming from the east to the west. Day 5, you're going to go to North Fork. Day 6, you're going to do Apgar, Lake McDonald, and Avalanche Lake hike. Highly recommend that. It's not a hard hike. It is about 6 miles, but it's a pretty moderate hike, and it is beautiful at the end. And then day 7, you're going to travel home. So that is a very jam-packed itinerary, but it's possible. We always personally book 8 days with 2 travel days, so we do like Friday to Friday or Saturday to Saturday. This year we were able to actually hit every part of the park except for North Fork, but there's still so much that we haven't explored, which is why we're going back again in 2026. So especially if you know that you're going to be able to come back and explore more of the park, I would recommend doing maybe that as your very first trip, and then you figure out what areas of the park you liked the most, which areas of the park that you wouldn't really want to do again. And then you can book a trip in a year or 2 and come back and really explore those parts that piqued your interest, or you saw hikes that you were like, oh, I really want to do this hike. Our first trip in 2024, we split between Glacier, Yellowstone, and the Grand Tetons and decided what we loved most, and then came back for a full week in Glacier because, in my opinion, it beats any national park I've ever been to. So step 3, now that you have determined when you want to go and how many days you're staying on each side, you're going to determine your budget. So visiting Glacier does not have to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but it's going to take some pre-planning, especially if you're on a budget. So a few ways that we've found to save money while we're in the park: go grocery shopping when you get there and get sandwich meat, bread, snacks, everything you might need for a full day of nutrients while you're on the trail or in the park. Eat your breakfast at your Airbnb or hotel. Pack a lunch for your day in the park, and maybe opt for a hotel or an Airbnb over staying at a lodge in the park. So that is definitely an experience. It's historical, it's beautiful, they're amazing. But the best part is that you can visit all of the lodges, you can check out the lobbies, you can check out the views, and you can even eat at the restaurants without a reservation, without staying there. If you have no budget and you want to get the full Glacier experience, then I do recommend staying at one of the lodges. But just know that they do book out quickly and usually about a year in advance. So if you're considering going next year, I would start booking your stay now. Step 4 is don't waste time, start booking. So for our trip in 2025, I made our first booking in December of 2024. That was for our stay at Glacier Park Lodge, and when I booked, they were almost sold out. So I want to go over which lodge you should stay at if you're planning on staying at one of the lodges. For the west side, you're going to want to stay at the Lake McDonald Lodge. If you want to stay on the east side and plan to spend more time at To Medicine and don't mind the drive to the other parts of the park, then I recommend Glacier Park Lodge. If you do want to do a lot of hiking in the Many Glacier area or are able to secure a booking at the Many Glacier Lodge, then I say if you see it, book it. So I'm going to break down when I booked for our trip in September of 2025. Our lodge was booked in early December of 2024. Our plane tickets and our car rental were booked in March, and our boat rides were booked in April. A portion of the Going to the Sun Road and the North Fork area entry vehicle reservations, or any area of the park that is going to possibly have a vehicle reservation when you're watching this video, they become available 120 days or approximately 4 months in advance on a daily rolling basis. If by chance you miss getting your reservation or they sell out too quickly, you can enter the park before 7 a.m. or after 3 p.m. without a reservation. So make sure you're keeping an eye on recreation.gov for more information on this regarding the year that you're going. The vehicle reservations become available 120 days or about 4 months in advance on a daily rolling basis. So make sure you're checking recreation.gov for this information, because as of 2025, you could still enter the park before 7 a.m. or after 3 p.m. without a reservation if you by chance are not able to get one. Step 5, This one is for my hikers. What hikes should you do? So if you're wanting to plan to see every part of the park, here's my suggestions. St. Mary, you're going to do St. Mary Falls to Virginia Falls. And then you're going to do Logan Pass, the Hidden Lake Overlook. You can also do the Highline Trail from the Logan Pass parking lot, even if you go out a few miles and turn around. The Many Glacier area, Grinnell Glacier is my number one for sure. It was the most beautiful hike that I've ever experienced. There are many hikes in that area as well, like Iceberg Lake, which I think we're going to end up trying to do in 2026. And then to Medicine, you're going to do the South Shore Trail to Upper Two Medicine Lake, or take a boat ride halfway and go up to Upper Two Medicine Lake. North Fork, we actually have not been here yet, but I've been doing tons and tons of research on what hike to do next year. So if you've been here, please put your suggestions in the comments. The west side, I highly recommend Avalanche Lake. It is just such a beautiful hike. But also don't limit yourself to my recommendations. Do your own research, find out what's going to be best for you and the people that are traveling with you. There are so many hikes in Glacier, and I have barely even touched the surface of what it has to offer. But those are my suggestions and some of the most popular that you're going to find. Step 6, and our final step to your successful trip to Glacier National Park, is creating your itinerary. I am a planner at heart, and I'm also a certified FORA travel advisor, so I might have the upper hand in this situation, but I love making itineraries. And all of the people that vacation with me love vacationing with me because I always have the plan. So I have been on vacations where there isn't a plan, but I've found that we spend more time trying to figure out what we want to do than actually doing it. So this is not somewhere that you want to waste time. You want to spend as much time as you possibly can exploring Glacier and seeing everything that it has to offer. And also, please do not forget that any entrance to Glacier National Park, you need to have a park pass. Even if you might not need a vehicle reservation, you do need a park pass. So I suggest getting the America the Beautiful pass. These are about $80. They're good for 1 year to the month that you purchase it. I get mine at REI, but you can also get it online or in person. And as always carry bear spray in Glacier National Park. Each one of us has our own can, easily accessible, hooked on our bottom backpack strap across our waist. Do not skip out on the bear spray. You do not want to be caught without it. Also, leave no trace, and just make sure that you're being courteous to all of your fellow hikers and everybody else who is at Glacier. Everybody's on vacation, everybody planned this trip, and everybody's just trying to experience the beauty of this world. So let's just be courteous to each other. If this was a lot of information and you were not able to keep up with it, I am going to be putting a link in the description with a PDF download that you can use to plan your next trip to Glacier. I wish that I had had this when I was booking my trip, but I'm glad to be able to offer it to you, and I hope that it helps you. I hope this video helped you and that it took some stress off of all of the chaos that it takes to book a trip to Glacier. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe and make sure to stay up to date with new content that I put out.